Okay. So we are in fact live. This is the real deal, a rare case. I often joke, I say I start every podcast saying we are live. This is the truth. We are live. Welcome everybody. My name is Eric Wright. I'm here together with Angelo Luciani, co-creator of Virtual Design Master, also fellow podcaster, technologist, community advocate, and many, many other things. So for folks that are just listening to the podcast, they're going to say, what does this mean? All right. So again, my name is Eric Wright. I'm at DiscoPosse on Twitter. This is the DiscoPosse podcast, mixed and matched, today with a special announcement about something. So Angelo, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us where we can find you online, and then we're going to get rolling. We're going to talk about Virtual Design Master.
Great. Yeah, I'll make this quick. It's great to be back for season 6. You can find me on Twitter at Angelo Luciani and blog at virtuwise.com.
Now we're absent a few folks who normally participate. If you're a fan of Virtual Design Master, you may of course remember we've got Melissa, who is our creative director, and also the mind behind 90% of Virtual Design Master, especially the technical challenges. So Melissa's going to join us throughout the rest of the series, and that's kind of what we wanted to get started with. But before we start, if you're fresh to the podcast, if you're fresh to Virtual Design Master, I want to start with why we did this, what this is, and kind of how it got started. And that's what happens when you do live. You hear motorcycles in the background. I love this. Now I know why Rogan takes chances when he does these things.
And Eric, just a quick shout out, and maybe the motorcycle plays into this, but just a quick shout out for those basketball fans. Our lovely Toronto Raptors are in the NBA Finals, so a lot of celebration happening in the city this week. So go Raptors.
At least there's some semblance of hope. A trophy for sports may arrive in Toronto. Alas, it will never have the name Stanley on it, but that's okay. We're good with that. So we've been doing a lot of things, you and I, in the technology community. We both work in the vendor community today. We've been involved with vendor, they call them influencer programs, and social advocacy, and whatever you want to call it, ultimately being proponents for technology growth of people involving, whether it's a product, a company, or whatever. I like to think of it as that versus the reverse, which is quite often social media influencer programs and technology influencer programs are effectively vendor marketing teams extended into the community. It's not that doesn't exist, but the difference with we want to approach it is that what's the benefit that you as a technologist taking part in it are going to gain. And that's when I want to build a community around these things. That's what I have in mind. Not can I do a thing and then have a bunch of people talk about that thing because I did it. It's not at all what the goal is. And Virtual Design Master was born of that kind of idea. Speaking of the Raptors, we were at a Raptors game 6 years ago. 7 years ago, 6 years ago. It's been a while. 7 years ago, I think we did it. And the idea came to me. I said, what if we did like Ink Master or like one of these kitchen cooking competitions, but have it be about technology and have people do, like, you give them some crazy design and then they have to come up with it live. There's no functional way we were going to be able to pull this off. Even better, the first thing we thought is we had a really cool fellow named Steve Herod, who was the CTO at VMware. And our selfish goal, or at least my selfish goal, was I want to hang out with Steve Herod. And I thought, wouldn't the ultimate thing to be that we can show the value of bringing technologists up in their career and their influence in the market for themselves and potentially for a vendor, as a employer or whatever. And then ultimately have the final judge be the CTO of VMware, because obviously we were very VMware focused at the time. And I gave this crazy idea to you. We kind of we went back and forth. We talked about it, and I seem to remember about an hour after the game getting a text saying, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? We should talk about that thing we mentioned."
Yeah.
So, what do you remember about the early days of Virtual Design Master? First of all, tell us what it is for folks that are new to it, and then what do you remember about why it was important?
Yeah, just just a quick thought that came to mind when you were telling that story was, and this is a little further down the evolution of it, but it was just that first submission when we were asking the community for design challenges, and we put it out there. We didn't know if anyone was going to submit anything or not, and we actually got one. And I go back to that moment where we looked, it was kind of like looking at each other saying, okay, now what do? We got one, right? We were super excited about it. And that of course came from Melissa, which was very exciting. And that started a whole, getting her involved because she had such creative ideas. But that moment, I go back to that moment when we got that first submission. And I'm not sure, I can't recall how quickly I don't want to put you on the spot, Eric, but do you recall how quickly that came in? I can't recall if that was day 1 or day 3 or day 7 when that came in.
It's funny. That was, it probably was a little further along than we'd hoped. We were tossing this out on Twitter, effectively hoping that our reach was going to attract people that were going to bring these ideas in. And it was hilarious. I think we were about to say, okay, well, maybe we're on our own. And then all of a sudden we got one. The original idea was we were going to get 4 different design scenarios, and they were going to be each independent, different people. And that was the idea. We thought, treat it like a completely different thing. And then Melissa brought this idea, which was not just a technology challenge, but it was a story. It was an adventure. And creating the idea that zombies had taken over the world, and we were left with this, billionaire that had all this old technology in a warehouse, and it was all we had access to. And if you were given these limitations and constraints, what would you do to stand up a data center in order to provide services for this number of, and it was crazy numbers. We thought we made it really, really difficult on purpose.
Yeah.
But then what was funny was no more challenges came in. And so we ultimately came up with what was the better idea, which was in fact to do the design, then to break it. We would choose what would the breakage be, and then force them to think about how would you protect the environment now that you're at half capacity. And then, well, what would you do to orchestrate other parts of the build of your of the environment? And then we actually had a final challenge, which was going to be a live build scenario, because we realized going to VMworld and doing a presentation live, we were not equipped for that. And rightly so. We were just making this up as we went along. It's really tough to put this together. You got to give a huge shout out to the amount of production work that goes into some of these competitions and stuff. We were on a shoestring budget. We were collecting sponsors with no hope of outcome for them. They were just, sure, what is this? And you may remember what were those early emails as we were sending them out, hey, dear vendor friend, we got this crazy idea, right?
Yeah. And that's part of the fun of it, right? You sort of think big, start small, and just press on. And just to go back a bit for folks that are not familiar, VDM, Virtual Design Master, is an online IT competition. It's sort of a mix between a VCDX Defense meets The Apprentice, where we select 3 or 4 judges from the community. We select a number of competitors from the community, and each week the competitors are challenged with a design challenge, and they have a limited amount of time to produce a solution, submit it back to the judges, and we do an online sort of review of those design solutions. And at the end of that session or that week, 1 or 2 of the competitors are bounced from the competition as we make our way to that single person who's a VDM, the VDM champion. So real fun competition, a lot of people involved, a lot of competitors get their friends involved, folks on Twitter involved, really pulls in a lot of different expertise from the community because our challenges are very not your typical challenges. So they do touch on a lot of different types of technologies. And on top of that, you layer in the storytelling, which adds a nice spice to the weekly challenges. And the responses that come back are always creative, not only technically, but also as they tie into the story. So that's also good to see.
And the fun part of this is that it was definitely, it was a challenge for us. Like, we were learning an amazing amount of things about technology, especially because as we headed further, into the seasons, we ultimately, like, I was building the real labs and we were sourcing real environments. So we were doing things in an actual deployment. This is not even completely theoretical. Like, theoretical was a challenge unto itself. And folks were given bizarrely short timeframes to do this stuff. It was designed to hurt. It was like Iron Man in technology design. And that was really cool, to see people do things that they were very proud that they weren't done, but they knew they did all they could do. And I believe that was one of the most profound things that people discovered. What would happen is some people would drop off. Like, they'd be like, I'm not going to be able to get it done. And we would say, like, okay, just imagine that everybody else around you feels the same way. You're not necessarily in last place because you feel like you're not done yet. And what we ended up doing was pulling people forward through the different designs because they realized, okay, what the heck? Like, let me take a run at it. And I would also, if I could put a beautiful, like, everybody's got their no whatever thing that you want to be proud of, I'd say it's no rock stars and no unicorns, right? Nobody came to this to become the center of attention, and nobody came out of it as the center of attention. We ultimately created a beautiful peer level connection with a lot of people. And that is, I believe that's a success in what we did, and that, just season one was, we met an incredible amount of people. And, Akmal Wahid, who actually produced the winning, he is VDM 001. We used triple numbers. We were hopeful. Yeah. And he literally did the stuff in the dark on, like, battery power to keep his cell phone up in order to keep the video alive. He was in India. We were worldwide from day one.
Yeah.
And, like, did you think that from nothing that you could have such a reach and find these really amazing people?
Yeah, I thought when we started it would be more of a North American or maybe even sort of US Canada thing, where most of the competitors would come from. But it's always inspiring to see that we got folks, and we tried to accommodate folks across the globe in terms of time zones. We did our best to accommodate that. But it's always inspiring to see, Val from Brazil, Akmal from India, just folks from all around the world participate in this. Just encouraging, because this crosses all languages. A design is a design, right? So that's the great thing, and we all learn from each other. And I really, one of the things that sort of sticks out for me over the course of the seasons is, like you mentioned, every year we have some folks that say, I can't, as they're working their way through the competition. But ultimately they do, and they can, right? They come through it, whether it's just another round or just through another design, they actually come through it and learn something. So it's really great to see how folks can just turn their mindset and energy around to push through on these challenges.
A principle that we picked up on, which would do both of us well in startup life, working for technology startups was the idea of creating something without any history. Like there was nothing that was like this. Literally, this is the only reality-based competition for technology. And it's been amazing that I've actually had folks that were involved in it say they got, asked about it during job interviews because they put it on their, blog or LinkedIn. And then I would go to these technology companies and they would say, hey, we actually been watching, VEM, and we actually saw this person, can we reach out to them? And we found that really a lot of the people that were connected either by judging, or participating or submitting content, they became connected in ways that some work together, some, got new jobs, some ultimately are at the beginning of what's next. Adam Post, he's a good friend, and someone I'm proud to call a friend, and someone who we had no reason, to be able to connect through our community, except for, here he came to this competition. And there was a great example of somebody who, like, we had no idea who they were, what their potential was, and immediately saw like, very interesting. And in fact, he was at Tech Field Day recently. So he's a Tech Field Day delegate. So again, big shout out to Stephen Foskett, the Gestalt IT team, and Tech Field Day. We also modeled a lot of what we did after, what's a way that we can take these great minds and give them an opportunity to really show their skills for them, and at the same time, we were washing it. We were not collecting money. Yeah. This is not only is it not for profit, we're operating in the red because we wanted to make sure that 100% of the value of the prizes or whatever went to the people that won. And if I go back on the numbers, I think it was like anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 worth of prizes that were charitably, and beautifully given to us from vendors, some as gift cards, some as products or licensing, and tons of stuff. That's a leap of faith, right? As a company to say like, okay, here's a bunch of nerds, and I don't know that I'm going to have a measurable outcome from this, but I believe in developing people, and that's the goal, right?
Yeah, and in addition to vendors, there was also many community folks that stepped up, some in behind the scenes that wanted to stay anonymous and contribute, and we're thankful for that. And then others that stepped up and said, hey, I'd like to donate XYZ, or I'd like to give a Amazon gift card, etc. So we got a good cross section of people chipping in to help out in terms of prizes, and just online, just the effort of helping each other out. We've always encouraged competitors to reach out on Twitter to other folks that might have some expertise that they're looking for that can help guide them with designing a solution to a challenge. So always great.
So that was the thing, is one of my favorite things to get right after you announce, who wouldn't be going forward in the competition. Within seconds, you tended to get the message that says, man, that was tough. That was fun. What can I do to help? And no one, we weren't just burning off stages of a rocket and then heading to the next destination. We were truly carried by those people who went through it and said like, okay, this is nutty, and I want to make sure I can help somebody else get a little further. And and just to remind folks, if they don't know, Adam was the one with all the really cool whiteboards behind him. He set the bar.
I can't recall if he had 2 whiteboards or if it was just the one. I think it was 2, but I can't recall exactly. But yeah, it was pretty intense with those whiteboards.
There were so many new things that we saw, and we had as we went through the seasons, season 1 was, can we do this? We did it, and then immediately we started to think, can we do it again? We also said it's time to take a little time off, because it was a challenge to pull it all together, but it was fun. It was fun for us. Then we met all people at VMworld, and then we went further, and in the second year, we decided, okay, let's try again. And all of a sudden this reach, grew. By the third season, we had blown up the limits of Google Hangouts, which was our platform at the time, right? Google Hangouts was limited to 8 live attendees at a time. And we always thought, like, no worries, by the time we get to live defenses, we'll be down to 8. And all of a sudden we had like 24 people submitting, and we had like 20 make it through the first challenge. And I thought, oh, so we were doing waves and teams, and that tells you something. Like, as you think about anything you do, think about, how can I scale this thing? And it was, again, beautiful startup lessons. We ultimately, we've built a small, not profitable startup, but I believe it's profitable because somebody came up to more than once and said, thank you for this thing that gave me an opportunity, or I learned something, or I got a positive result from it.
Yeah.
Walking the VM world. How many times have you had it where someone said, like, hey, like they wave to you and you have no idea who they are, and they say, thank you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And and one of the things that I really, really liked is the fact that a lot of the folks that participated, or a lot of the folks that were involved, were really from the sort of sysadmins, who, typically sysadmins look after the infrastructure, not necessarily design the infrastructure. Some folks may get that chance, but sort of the majority just sort of look after the infrastructure. And it was great to give those folks an opportunity to participate in sort of the design of things. And ultimately, the result of that is we've seen folks elevate their careers, maybe go for a role that's a little different, or get promoted, etc. Not necessarily because of anything we did, but rather just helping to sort of help them realize that they can and they do have that potential to move up and work on design, etc. So that's always great to see, and inspires others.
Seeing in the chat, I saw D who brought up, he said, I remember watching from the official Virtual Design Master app. And we did have that, which was really cool. So I've got to give a shout out to Ian Sim, who, a longtime friend. We had been roommates. We had worked together in the past, and as shoe repairman, and then we actually went on. We both worked at a big financial company. He's in fact now founded his own company called Radical IO. So Radical IO at that time was Ian, and and he was just sort of doing it himself as I don't know if he'd actually gone out completely on his own. And so I wanted to give a chance for him to showcase what he could do. And, that was a fun challenge, getting stuff and updating an app and doing things live. So, it was huge. And today, Radical IO, now based out of Vancouver, Ian and his wife, Brianna, now I believe, definitely in the 10 plus employees. And in fact, they've just hired their first CEO to help run the company. And they're doing virtual reality for the Vancouver Canucks and incredible stuff. So again, to see people that were attracted to help out with no remuneration, like this was, I asked a huge favor of Ian to do this work, which ultimately should have been hundreds to potentially thousands of dollars of development time. And, he did it on faith because he thought, hey, this is pretty cool. And I really want to be a part of it.
Yeah. That was a great app. That was really fun. And I'm sure, like you said, he sort of wanted to expand his skill set and or his experiences and get more involved. And that's where he came in and helped us out with the app development, which we were truly grateful for. And it was a really cool thing we took on. Maybe we took on a little too much too early, but hey, that's the fun thing about trying things out. And if we fail, you fail. If but you learn from it and you just move on. But in our case, we were very fortunate that the app came out great and folks got to experience. And in fact, I don't know, Eric, and again, I don't want to put you on the spot. That app might still be in the store
It's
in the
inevitably still out there. Yeah. I should go back and double check, it's pretty cool to imagine a little piece of history is hanging off the app store somewhere.
Yeah. We'll have to get a screenshot of it and tweet it out or something. Yeah.
Now, so this is a big year for us because we saw something really cool and we saw this growth of this community. Ultimately, we started with a competition and we ended up creating a community. We really get a chance to bring people together. And in fact, it was the beginning of another project that I'm working on, and it's called Rapid Matter, which is built around something that Renee Vandenbedem, who had been a judge multiple years. Renee is an amazing contributor. He's VCDX 133, of course, if you know him already. If not, you should seek him out. Just an amazing person and also a technologist. So he inspired this idea of, could we do something through software in order to better, get to designs? And I loved the idea of this. So what I ended up doing from there was saying, I'm in. Like, I love this idea. And, we didn't really get a chance to work on it. It's one of those back burner projects. And now it also became an idea. I'm like, what if we could actually use it for connecting people and create a mentoring connection so that we could do things through, looking for people's likes and attributes and skills and match them effectively so that they could begin a mentoring relationship. And that's what it is. It's in the process of being developed right now. So that's, in fact, how we're going to be hosting some of the event competition itself. So event registration and a few other things are going to be done through the Rapid Matter application. The reason we're doing that is because I don't want to build many applications, and Virtual Design Master unto itself is fun. It's a handful, but can I bring this over and ultimately do what we're doing and bring it to that platform? So there'll be a lot of updates in the very, very short coming days and weeks as we head into this. And with that, we did 5 seasons. We took a break last year and we did something a little different. So Angela, talk about Masterclass.
Yeah, Masterclass was a great way of us bringing in an expert to talk on a particular topic, showcase, give folks an opportunity to ask questions, get people to expand their thinking a little bit, sort of present real world examples of how things are done in the real world. And it was great to have the folks that we brought in, but we want to sort of expand that a little more, we want this to be a little more touch and feel, if you will. So we're really excited about what's upcoming.
And so the goal of Masterclass, which I mentioned before, one of the core tenets of what we do is, we want to promote people. We want to give them knowledge and capabilities. And I describe it as, our goal here is to introduce you to a part of yourself that you either did not know that you have or that you did not realize you would be able to access. It's inside all of us. And if we can unlock that for somebody or a group of people, then that ultimately is the effect and the profound result that we want to generate. And doing so Masterclass was the first move, right? We wanted to get away from showcasing technology and we wanted to make it more generic. We even get this question asked all the time, like, VMware was the core of how we met a lot of our folks in the community today. But all those same people are working on AWS and Microsoft Azure and working at Nutanix and we're involved in scale computing, and we're doing all these different companies. In fact, they work there. They've been, helping them out. We've got folks that have gone on to do their own startups. So that's why we love the independence of it and the creativity and saying, well, what's to Renee's point, right? Design towards the problem and then go from conceptual logical. Okay, now we can name names. And what we found was people were immediately heading to the names. They were immediately heading to a product. And
Yeah.
we would see stuff and it's not that it's bad, but I felt that it was moving away from what we
Yeah.
were trying to accomplish. And again, with the no rock star mentality, like I didn't want the products to be the rock stars. I wanted the
Right.
people to be the showcase of what it is. And so this is, we did a lot of thinking. So we did masterclass. In season 6 is a beautiful combination of two amazing things. So first of all, season 6 is going to be comprised of two components. We are going to be doing a 4-part weekly webinar series with a gap because the way it wraps around a holiday. In the same way that we use progressive capabilities in the design scenarios of design, protect, orchestrate, deploy. So we are going to take those same concepts, except it's on a different theme. This year, I call it I like the idea of a hackathon, but I don't know my foo from my bar because I'm an ops person. And I feel like I'm not able to participate in a hackathon because I'm concerned I don't have the skill set. So Virtual Design Master Season 6 is giving you that skill set. Not only are we doing this 4-part webinar series, which is going to be wrapped around the core needs of what do you need to bring to a hackathon, to generate an idea, to be able to build a team, to create complementary, team players that can, in the course of a very short, time frame, build off of each other and enhance each other's skill set. Then to be able to do rapid product management. So being the pragmatic product manager where you've got to say, I've got a big idea and I got, a fixed amount of time to do it. What happens when I'm halfway done the time frame and I'm 10% done the product? So being able to teach people to think like a startup and say, what's the most important thing to be a pragmatic developer, program manager, architect, right? These are skills we've used in our technology already in day-to-day architecture. And I'm going to take it even further. And ultimately, if we could, year 1 was we wanted to do a meeting with Steve Harrod being the judge. If I could do this, I'd say we all get on a bus and we cross this country going to VMworld or reInvent, and we build a startup along the way. I couldn't quite pull that off because it's a lot more logistics. So from the edge of the 4-part webinar series, then in late July, we're still working on the exact dates. We're going to be doing the first Virtual Design Master online 24-hour hackathon. And this is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me repeat that for emphasis. It's going to be crazy.
This is going to, it's going to hurt. It's going to be amazingly fun. And I can guarantee that no one will come out of a 24-hour period without at least, 1 to 5 amazing new skills and connections to people that they never realized they could have. So, here, I'm going to call on somebody in the community that in our, technology community, people know Al Rashid. Al is an amazing person, really one of the folks that, if I look at, Val Desir Carvalho, also, people that I look at that are the embodiment of giving more than taking. And so I love this idea that we can get people like that. So last year we were at the hackathon at VMworld and I said, I'm going to create a team. And then a bunch of people said, that's cool. I wish I could participate, but I don't have any skills. I'm like, sign up, you're in. I don't want skills. I want people. And, I don't know what we did in 5 hours because it was actually a 3-hour hackathon. But what we ended up doing was everybody watched this room of stuff happen. And they wouldn't have been there if we hadn't given them the chance to have no reason to be there other than to see it. And the fear of participating because they don't know that they've got the skill, that's what I want to get rid of. So Virtual Design Master Season 6, goodbye foo, hello bar, whatever you want to call it. The goal here is to make hackathons more inclusive, because they're not, right? They're not. They're designed ultimately for, if you're not using APIs today, it's a frightening thing. People are doing this stuff they don't even realize. Like, so Angelo, you know, I could look to the history, like what are the things that you've seen hackathons and people wanting to be involved in, but why they didn't do it?
Yeah, so you touched on a few of them already. Folks, when you say hackathon, folks immediately think, well, I'm not a coder, I can't get involved. I'm not a developer, I can't get involved. I don't know anything about APIs. But folks, all of you have a unique skill set, a unique perspective, and different. Everyone's got different blind spots. And your participation in a hackathon, whether it's coding or suggesting infrastructure, or even doing the documentation. In fact, if I can do something impromptu here, you know, here's a booklet called Docs Like Code, right? So even documentation is now an important aspect of it.
Before we jump off that, I got to say that is an amazing book. Number one, so Docs Like Code is by Ann Gentle. Secondly, Ann Gentle, I believe she works for Cisco. I'm not sure whether she came through with MetaCloud as part of the OpenStack, but Ann contributed to the documentation project for OpenStack, and also, I mean, did the OpenStack operations and the architecture guide in these like week-long book sprints. An amazing person, somebody who, again, you look to people in the community who embody that community. So very, very cool. So yeah, sorry, I had to call that out because Ann's an amazing person.
Yeah, no, that's a great point to share, Eric. So everyone's got a role to play in a hackathon, and we don't want people to feel excluded. We want to make hackathons accessible. And you just got to find the right spot. I always hear folks that want to give back to the community, which is great. But I always tell folks, that's great. Step one. Step two is, what specific area do you want to give back on? What specific thing, whether it's, and be really specific, because that's the one way where you'll drive your passion and you'll follow through on that one particular area to help someone or many people. So we want to make hackathons accessible, fun, and we don't want folks to feel like they can't participate because they're not coders.
If I could say that, if you believe that going into a hackathon, you're building a coding project, then we are going to change the game. When you walk into the Virtual Design Master Hackathon, you're creating a product and you're creating an organization. You're creating a team that's going to wrap around an idea, that's going to do heroic things in a short period of time, and they will learn things about themselves and each other. And at the end of this, they will have something that ultimately could become a product, not a project, but it's something we are going to create the ability, even if it's just a tiny portion, if it's a plugin for something other. The goal of this is to teach people that they can take that thing and what would it mean to turn this into a business. So there's going to be some of that skill set, and coming out of the hackathon as well, there'll be additional webinars, which are going to be around, okay, you've done the first one, right? So what did we learn? And so we really want to treat this like we're going to do retrospectives. We're going to teach project management. We're going to teach a lot of stuff. Or for my fine friends south of the border, project management. Sorry, my Canadianisms always come out. So I hope that people are as excited as we are. I hope that they are scared but willing, and because that's what I want. Because I could tell you that Angelo and I and Melissa, scared and willing, because we know this is a lot. It's a big challenge for folks to take on, but don't doubt that you have the ability to have a profound effect on that 24-hour period and on that peer group you're going to work with. We need coders. We need people that are going to write marketing copy for it. Like, we're going to build a website for the product. Like, this is what we're going to do. Soup to nuts, right? Think about finance, whatever you want. If you can, and if you don't know that you can participate, come find us. And
Yeah.
we'll find a way that you can. 100%. This is, we turn no one away. It's been the rule of Virtual Design Master from day one. When we got 27 people that applied to the first challenge, there was no way we could actually deal with the logistics. And Melissa taught us a very strong lesson. We said, well, what do we do we have to hand pick, a dozen people. And she says, never. We do not turn people away. That's not what we do. That's not an inclusive community. So, regardless of where you come from, where you work for, it matters not. This is pretty cool. I'm excited.
It's going to be really fun, Eric, and it's going to be really fun to see how folks work with each other and what they ultimately produce.
I like that D is pronouncing project with a capital O. My fellow Canadian. I love that the chat is like live beside me. I'm watching this stuff. So this is, a huge thanks to everybody, obviously to Angelo, to Melissa, to all of the folks that have been judges. I would go through the names, but it'd be like an Oscar speech length. We will share, obviously, you've seen the Virtual Design Master site go through some different iterations. Right now, it's a landing page to sign up for the newsletter. So let's do the next step logistics real quick.
Yeah.
Go to the website, sign up for the newsletter. You're going to get the information that way. So go to virtualdesignmaster.io. If you go to .com, it's okay. It redirects. So go to virtualdesignmaster.io and sign up for that newsletter. Obviously, watch for the hashtag Virtual Design Master. Yeah. Funny story about social media. So we thought we would use VDM. Well, for the Francophones amongst us, VDM has a different connotation in different languages. So in fact, here, cover your ears, kids. It may not like French naughty language. Vie de merde is what it actually means. Which basically means life is poop. So people would write VDM like, I just walked across a puddle and a car splashed me, VDM. It was basically FML, but for Francophones. So we had to get off the VDM hashtag. So we're going long form. We got 280 characters. Virtual Design Master it is.
Yeah, and we do ask folks to help us promote Virtual Design Master on Twitter or social platforms. So when you do have a free minute, please tweet out something or tweet out a link to the landing page, etc. We do appreciate it. And it does help get the word out. Hopefully, and we're hoping that it brings in more people from other disciplines so that we can also sort of introduce their disciplines into the competition going forward.
And now, of course, we have to add the legal terms of service, which this is the fun part, right? There are no terms of service other than be good to each other. As we mentioned, it's an inclusive community. We have to be respectful. There is a code of conduct. It's not necessarily published. But it should be. We will actually publish a legitimate code of conduct as part of the hackathon, just because that's a good practice. Again, everybody should learn that we have to think about this, especially in technology, when you're mixing people from different backgrounds and such. So we have to be mindful of how challenging it is for people as they get involved with stuff. Secondly, your information goes nowhere but to this team. We will never give away, nor we will never sell your information. There's no lead generation that comes from this stuff. This is you. So if you're watching this camera, right, you're getting this for free, not like Facebook free. Like beer free. This is legitimately free. We're big promoters of the electronic foundation Frontier Foundation. So, our goal is to deliver free platforms, free knowledge, free mentoring where we can, and ultimately connect people with themselves and with other great people. So there will never be a concern that you're getting your info sold as a result of being a part of this.
Cool. And to put you in a great frame of mind going forward, here's a little exercise for you. Next time you're going through a drive-through, when you're buying your coffee, when you're moving in line, getting ready to pay, ask the attendant or the employee what the person behind you ordered. And if it's just a coffee or whatever it is, if you think you can cover it, why not pay for their coffee? And so then when you leave, they'll get a big surprise that someone had bought them a coffee or, a small meal or whatever, if you can afford it. So that should put you in a good frame of mind going forward, get the juices going in the brain. So
it's definitely, these are things to live by. We love that we've been able to give back to the community. I look forward to doing as much as I can with this and other ways. It's challenging, and folks have been amazing and patient with us too, because this is one of a variety of passion projects that we work on, and it's tough to fit it all in. And while everybody else was watching the world through conferences and hashtags, we've all grown, and people have gotten married and had children. It's literally amazing to watch this growth of this community together. Now, so here's the thing: you're going to come out of this, and you're going to be a part of Virtual Design Master Hackathon, the first, truly community-oriented online hackathon that's presented by community to the community. It's us for us. And then what we have as a goal out of here is I'm going to be at Microsoft Ignite, I'm going to be at VMworld, and I'm going to be at AWS reInvent. And we're bringing Team VDM to every live event to the hackathons. So the same skill set that we're going to bring to you in the course of July and early August was going to give you the capability to take that skill set with this team and go to a live hackathon, and don't be afraid. I saw a lot of new faces at the hackathon at VMworld last time. We go to AWS reInvent. It's a different community, a lot of familiar faces, but hackathons are a little more advanced there. But there's no reason to be scared, because you're going to have a good team wrapped around you. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create the future opportunities so that your goal coming into this is, I did this, and here's the second hackathon I'm going to do this year, and we'll make sure you do that.
Cool.
Wow. I'm tired just thinking of it. Now we actually had to do this. So, just like every good hackathon, there's a lot of work that's going to go behind the scenes. So watch in the virtual space, go to virtualdesignmaster.io, follow the VDM challenge Twitter handle. Keep track of obviously Angelo at Angelo Luciani, Melissa at VMIS33, and myself at DiscoPosse. We're looking forward to folks. If anybody wants to also volunteer, if you've had experience organizing hackathons and you want to contribute any just ideas, advice, I've run a couple myself, so I'm super excited to collaborate. It's challenging because we have to move fast and asynchronously. So we don't always get a chance to do consistent weekly meetings and such. But for folks that can do this work with us, it's an incredible passion project. I'm excited by it. All right, we did it, or we're about to do it. So for all the folks that have been a part of Virtual Design Master coming up to now, for all the folks that have never heard of it and you're just listening to the podcast, also big thanks. This is crazy. I'm actually I'm getting like good ratings. So if you like this podcast in general, go, follow, subscribe to it, and make sure if you go into iTunes and give a rating or leave reviews, it's greatly appreciated. It helps to raise awareness about what it is. If you have a show idea and you want to be a part of a future podcast directly, then you can always reach out to me and directly. I'd love to have folks on. So, Angelo, you've got podcasting you do through the Nutanix team.
Yeah.
You've done a lot in a lot of other places. What other projects do you want to shout out before you Virtual Design Master tattoos? Sorry, there's no way we're getting tattoos. I love all that. No tattoos. But hey, if somebody else wants to get one, if you show me a Virtual Design Master tattoo, you got some cash coming your way, my friends.
Yeah, maybe we get some fake ones or something. But yeah, maybe we get some fan art or something going, like those what do they call them? Those fan trailers, those trailers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I want to encourage folks to check out the Nutanix Community Podcast. Dwayne Lesnar, DLink7 on Twitter is my co-host. We try to have a lot of fun. We try to make it informative, and just check us out online. And looking forward to the competition.
And also, here's the last twist I'm going to add. Not a twist necessarily, but because this is a community project and ultimately we support each other, we're adding a new component because people love stickers, they love swag. So we're going to create kind of a Virtual Design Master, a box, a box of goodies that folks can actually get. So it's going to be done through, it's going to be like a tumbler or a t-shirt. We're creating different swag. And ultimately, we just have to get folks, if you want to contribute, then that helps to power the infrastructure that's going to drive Virtual Design Master for the hackathon and for other things. And again, know that when you contribute directly to this, what you end up doing is ultimately, I can count, it takes more than two hands to count the number of people that have changed jobs through their own understanding and discovery of their own capabilities that we believe we've helped. And we've gotten people that have said it has. I'm not going to jump in and say that we got someone a job, but I can say that we helped them to learn that they could get that job. So it's so we're going to look for, you'll see the swag opportunities. You'll see, we'll have stickers at VMworld and reInvent and Ignite. We'll be at all the big ones. Obviously, there's going to be the Nutanix Next events. There's going to be other community events that we're all part of. So keep your eyes out for stuff like that as well. And if you want to sponsor, again, go to virtualdesignmaster.io. We will be sharing out the links for how to sign up as a sponsor and how to sign up as a participant pretty soon.
Cool.
All right, Angelo, we are here. This is going to be crazy. Trust me, if there's a way that I can get a flamethrower and I can put Virtual Design Master stickers on it, we're selling a flamethrower. So if Elon Musk can pull this off, then I think we can do it. But there may be some international regulations. We may be on the wrong side of with that one. Maybe we'll go with the surprise box instead. So,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Angelo, big thanks
Thanks
to Melissa and all the judges. Big thanks to everybody again for all you've done to inspire this. And we'll see you in June. So again, virtualdesignmaster.io, sign up. Go to the DiscoPossePodcast.com where you can catch the show notes for this and much more. With that, we're going to drop. And thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you at the virtual theater.